have no record of the people that have come in that have no legal status but are walking the streets in our country. Is that correct? That would be your most recent internal estimate that the government has on the total number of individuals living in Canada without legal status currently.
What if I told you that the people running Canada's immigration system can't clearly tell you how immigration is affecting your hospital wait times, your rent, or even how many people are living in this country without legal status? Think about it for a second. If you're a Canadian struggling to find a family doctor, watching your rent explode, or wondering why wages feel stuck, wouldn't you expect the government to at least have the numbers? Because today, inside the House of Commons, something shocking happened. A senior immigration official was asked very direct questions about healthcare, housing, temporary residence, and people without status. And the answers raised more questions than solutions. So the real question is this: if the government doesn't know the full impact, then who is actually paying the price? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear explains a lot about what Canadians are experiencing right now.
Have you, or has the government asked you to complete any analysis on the costs to Canada's healthcare system that the excessive number of immigrants overall have caused?
While, Madam Chair, we have not actually gone into those levels of details, but we have consulted with our healthcare partners, the provinces, the stakeholders, all those who would be involved in both healthcare provision as well as the housing and employment. So we have done extensive stakeholder consultations for that.
Did you ever advise Minister Diab or any previous minister that the large number of immigrants coming to Canada were creating challenges in our healthcare system?
Madam Chair, we continuously advise our minister about the impacts of the immigration, which do bring a lot of benefit, and we have been constantly giving her the information.
Okay, have you completed any analysis, or has the government asked you to complete analysis on the impacts of the on the housing market, the excessive number of immigrants that the Liberal government has allowed into Canada on an annual basis?
We have worked, Madam Chair, with our colleagues in the housing and infrastructure, and we have actually done a little bit of projection, which allows us to see how, if we bring down the levels up to 5% before 2027, what will it do to ease some of the pressure on the housing? So we've worked with CMHC and the housing and infrastructure.
So did you advise Minister Diab or any previous minister the impact on the housing market, that these large number of immigrants coming on an annual basis would come in your discussions, deliberations with the minister?
Did anyone even count the healthcare cost? Canada expanded immigration without fully measuring healthcare strain. This House of Commons exchange should alarm every Canadian who has ever waited hours in an emergency room. When asked directly whether the government analyzed the cost of mass immigration on healthcare, the answer was not a number. It was an admission that no detailed analysis exists. Instead, Canadians are told that consultations took place. But consultations don't open hospital beds, don't hire nurses, and don't shorten wait times. Healthcare systems run on capacity, staffing, and funding, not assumptions. As immigration numbers rose quickly, healthcare capacity did not keep up. The result is what Canadians feel every day: longer wait times, doctor shortages, and an overloaded system. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. No detailed healthcare cost analysis was completed. 2. Population growth outpaced healthcare capacity. 3. Canadians pay the price through delays and shortages. Why is housing relief always years away? Canada expanded immigration without fully measuring healthcare strain. When it comes to housing, officials point to projections showing how lowering immigration levels by 2027 might ease pressure. But Canadians are not living in 2027. They are struggling today. Rents have exploded. Homeownership is out of reach for millions. Young Canadians are delaying families and leaving cities. Promising future relief does nothing for people facing today's bills. This delayed response is exactly why public frustration is boiling over. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Housing relief is pushed years into the future. 2. The current affordability crisis remains unresolved. 3. Demand grew faster than housing supply. Was the system ever built to handle this many people? Immigration targets grew faster than infrastructure planning. Taken together, this exchange shows a clear pattern. Immigration targets were increased before Canada's systems were ready. Healthcare, housing, and infrastructure were expected to catch up after the fact. When growth outpaces preparation, systems break down, and Canadians feel it first. This is not about blaming newcomers. It is about leadership failing to match growth with capacity. Immigration can be a strength, but only when it is managed responsibly. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Immigration targets rose before capacity was ready. 2. Infrastructure failed to scale in advance. 3. Canadians absorb the consequences daily.
Madam Chair, we are actually advising the minister about what would our permanent and the temporary levels will actually result in terms of the impact on the housing, as I said, health, and everything.
Just a point of clarification. Earlier, you said that you were on track to reduce the government stated target on temporary resident 5% by 2027. The 2025 to 2027 levels plan actually says 5% by end of year 2026. Are you saying it's 2027 now?
To our knowledge, that has always been a 2027 as the commitment from this government, and that's how we are targeting that.
That's not what the 2025 to 2027 levels plan said from the information that is available to us. So what would be your most recent internal estimate that the government has on the total number of individuals living in Canada without legal status currently?
Madam Chair, we do count and through Stats Canada the census, but we would not have any estimation of any of those who do not have a particular status in Canada. We would not have that information with us.
When did the target date quietly change? Even government timelines are no longer clear. One of the most confusing and concerning moments in this exchange is the disagreement over the government's own target. Canadians were told that temporary resident numbers would be reduced to 5% by the end of 2026. Yet here, a senior official states the commitment is now 2027. This is not a small detail. When target dates move, pressure on housing, healthcare, and jobs continues for longer than promised. For Canadians already stretched thin, a one-year delay is not administrative. It means another year of high rent, packed hospitals, and competition for services. When the public plan and internal messaging don't match, trust starts to break down. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Official timelines are not consistent. 2. Delays extend pressure on public systems. 3. Policy confusion erodes public trust. How can you reduce numbers if you can't agree on them? Policy management appears disorganized. This moment raises a bigger question. How can the government promise reductions if it can't clearly communicate the plan? Canadians are expected to believe that population pressure will ease, yet the basic details remain uncertain. For families trying to plan their future, this lack of clarity matters. People delay buying homes, having children, or moving cities based on expectations set by government policy. When those expectations keep shifting, Canadians are left in limbo. Good policy requires clear targets, clear dates, and clear accountability, none of which are evident here. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Unclear targets make planning impossible. 2. Shifting goals create economic uncertainty. 3. accountability becomes difficult. How many people are in Canada without legal status? The government does not have estimates. This is where the exchange takes a sharp turn. When asked how many people are currently living in Canada without legal status, the answer is simple. The government does not know. Let that sink in. These individuals still need housing, still use infrastructure, and still impact local communities. Yet there is no estimate, no range, and no tracking. This is not about blaming people. It is about basic governance. You cannot plan healthcare, housing, or enforcement if you don't know how many people are actually here. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. No estimate for undocumented residents. 2. Population numbers may be higher than reported. 3. Lack of data makes planning impossible.
We have no record of the people that have come in that have no legal status but are walking the streets in our country. Is that correct?
That's, Madam Chair, that is not the information that we collect as such.
1 minute.
So, do you have a handle on how many people are estimated to be in Canada through the temporary foreign worker program that are actually not working and are still in our country illegally?
We have information about how many of the people have been issued the temporary foreign worker permit, and that is based on what we have actually done in terms of the previous years through LMIA, which is an ESDC kind of thing. And we are responsible for issuing the permit, Madam Chair, and we're not tracking whether they are actually into particular jobs. It is a combined responsibility with ESDC in the enforcement world.
Thank you, Mr. Menegakis. That's your time.
How can a country control immigration without tracking people? The government does not have data on people without legal status. This exchange reveals a shocking truth. The government admitted that it does not have records of people living in Canada without legal status. These individuals still impact housing, healthcare, and other public services, but the numbers are unknown. For Canadians, this is more than a statistic. It affects daily life. Without accurate data, policymakers can't plan effectively, and Canadians are left dealing with pressure on rent, services, and jobs. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. No data exists on people without legal status. 2. Untracked populations still strain systems. 3. Policy cannot be effective without numbers. Who is really monitoring the temporary foreign worker program? The permits are issued, but employment is not tracked. The temporary foreign worker program appears well regulated on paper, but in practice, there are huge oversight gaps. While the government tracks how many permits are issued, it does not track whether workers are actually in the jobs they were approved for. This lack of follow-up creates risks for Canadians and workers. Jobs may not be filled as intended, wages and work conditions can be impacted, and temporary workers themselves face uncertainty and vulnerability. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. Permits do not guarantee actual employment. 2. Labor shortages may still exist despite issued permits. 3. Weak oversight can lead to system abuse. When nobody is in charge, who pays the price? Divided accountability leaves systems broken. Responsibility for enforcement is split between multiple departments, meaning no single entity is accountable. When accountability is fragmented, enforcement becomes weak and system failures happen. For Canadians, this means the consequences are real. More competition for jobs, strain on services, and uncertainty for temporary workers. The problem is not immigration itself, it is poor management and lack of transparency. Key points. Canadians need to understand. 1. No single department owns oversight. 2. Weak enforcement harms Canadians and workers. 3. Transparency and accountability are essential. Canadians, what we witnessed in this House of Commons debate is a clear picture of how immigration policy, temporary workers, and housing and healthcare pressures are being handled, or rather, mismanaged. We learned that the government does not have detailed numbers on how many people live in Canada without legal status, how temporary workers are being employed, or how immigration is impacting housing and healthcare in real time. This lack of data and oversight directly affects Canadians through higher rents, longer wait times, and increased pressure on jobs and public services. It is clear that policy is moving faster than infrastructure and accountability, leaving Canadians to deal with the consequences. If you want to stay informed about how these issues impact you and your community, make sure to subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you will get the latest updates and insights on immigration, housing, healthcare, and temporary worker programs in Canada. Don't miss out. Stay ahead of the news, understand what it means for you, and join the conversation.